Good afternoon, everyone. A big welcome to join AOS and to join the program of DSE, Data Science in Art and Economics. So before I start, let me first briefly introduce myself. My name is Chun. So I am one of the member of the DSE committee, together with Dennis, and Prof. Lim Chung Wei was previously also in the committee, but are now he moved out, but he still is the expert later. So if you have any questions, you can come to any one of us. Okay. So I will also be one of the course instructors you may expect to meet in your future study. Today, the purpose of the talk is to give you some idea of the program and to get you through what you are going to do in the coming semester as well as in the future semesters under this program. Okay, so without further ado, let me start. So our program is a cross-disciplinary degree program, which is jointly offered by Department of Mathematics and Stats and Data Science and the Faculty of Science, as well as Department of Economics and the Faculty of Arts and Social Science, all under the College of Humanities and Sciences, which I will refer to as CHS for abbreviation from now on. So the aim of the program is to equip our students with strong foundational knowledge in data science and economics, as well as practical experience in the empirical analysis of economic and financial data. So after you learn the four-year program and graduate, so you will have strong skills in data analytics, as well as a good domain knowledge in economics, which will both prepare you well in the jobs in both private sector and public sector. To achieve this learning outcome, the intended learning outcome of the program, so our curriculum has been designed with tight integration of knowledge from disciplines of data science and economics. So we offer cross-disciplinary courses on emerging products and technologies, such as digital currencies and fintech, as well as to address the challenging problems in digital economy. You also have the chance to explore industry-linked courses and projects. So here is our program structure. In total, in the four-year study, you need to clear 160 course units before you can graduate. So generally speaking, a regular course in the US bears 4 units. So roughly you will need to take and pass 40 courses before you graduate. The courses you are going to take fall into 3 categories. The first one is the so-called CHS Common Curriculum. Here, CHS stands for College of Humanities and Sciences. And this common curriculum course are designed for all CHS students. Okay, so for all of you, you need to clear 10 courses under this category, which together account for 40 units. Next is our major requirements. So the major requirements is the key part of our program. And here you will clear 96 units. And out of the 96 units, 76 of them go to the foundational courses, mainly including the mathematics course, data science and analytics course, as well as economics courses. And the other 20 goes to cross-disciplinary courses. Okay, just in case you do not know, so the course code with MA at the beginning stands for mathematics course. DSA stands for statistics analytics course. EC stands for economics course. For our cross-disciplinary course, specially designed for you, the course code will start with DSE. Okay, so lastly, you have 24 units count under the unrestricted elective courses. So you can make use of these 24 units either to read a minor or to read a second major, or you can use some qualified internship, let's say the NOC or UPIP, to clear some of the units here. Okay, next, so I will go in details to help you understand what the courses are about. First of all, for the CHS common curriculums. Okay, so here we have 3 subcategories. So the first subcategory is about the common core courses. Okay, so this one is designed for all of the CHS students, but for us, it's slightly different. So first, if we look at this the 6 common core courses, we have writing here, data literacy here, communities and engagement, artificial intelligence, design thinking, and digital literacy. So, but if you look at this category under data literacy, we see our DSE 1101. This is a core course, okay, under major requirement for all of the DSE students. Because this one naturally falls within the category of data literacy already, so you do not need to read an additional course under data literacy, okay? So which means you do not need to worry about this subcategory. You can ignore it. Okay, now moving on to the second subcategory, the integrated courses. We have 5 of them. For these 5, you have no choice. You have to read all of them. And lastly, so under the subcategory of interdisciplinary courses, remember our program by nature is already interdisciplinary. All of the DSE titled courses by their nature are already cross-disciplinary. So which means our major requirements automatically fulfills this subcategory. So you do not need to worry about these 2. You can ignore them as well. So in total, so out of these 13 courses, you only need to clear 10 of them. Okay, these 2 under interdisciplinary as well as this data literacy, you do not need to worry. Okay, so therefore we have 10 courses in total, which account for 40 units, as stated in the previous slides. Next, let's look at the major requirements. So the foundational courses include covers materials under mathematics, statistics, data analytics, economics, as well as computer science. On top of this, okay, so we have the cross-disciplinary courses, remember, with the title DSE. So to give you a clearer picture, let's move on to look at this study plan. Okay, this study plan is very important. Okay, so it should be one of the most important topics you may need to focus for today's talk. First of all, if you look at the table, you see clearly this is divided into 3 regions with different colors. The blue region represents the CHS common curriculum, okay? While the green region, the biggest region, is our major requirements. Lastly, so the small pink region refers to the unrestricted electives. Okay, so every column in the table represents a semester. Okay, so for your upcoming semester, it will be your semester 1 of your year 1, and you refer to the first column here. You see, as indicated by this study plan, you need to take 5 courses in your year 1 Sem 1. So out of the 5, 3 of them belong to CHS common curriculum, and these 3 will be pre-allocated to you. Okay, so the next one is the DSE 1101, our introductory gateway course. Okay, so this one will also be pre-allocated to you. Okay, you don't need to worry about it. And the only course you need to register is the EC 1101E. Okay, so this one, so I believe, so you guys together with the econ major students will be involved in the so-called pre-course registration exercise. So during which period, this course will be secured, okay, and for sure will be given to you. So which means for at least for your year 1 Sem 1, you don't need to worry about securing any course. All of the 5 courses you need to read will be given to you for safe. Okay, so which means you do not need to worry so much about the upcoming course registration exercise. Okay, so our next thing I want to highlight out of the study plan is that, so you see for most of the cells in the table, they are already filled in the course title and the course name. But if you look at these 10 cells here, you see the course title and course code are missing. So the pink region, which are the 6 unrestricted electives, this is very easy to understand because these are the courses you need to decide and choose for yourself. Okay, therefore we cannot specify them for you. But how about these 4 cells? These are the major requirements, but we didn't give the course title. So basically, okay, if you look at this list, it means that you will need to choose 4 courses out of the following list to fill in the previous 4 cells. Okay, so all of the courses are of level 4,000 and 5,000. Okay, so for the course information, okay, the detailed course code and the content of the course, I leave this one for you to explore. Okay, for now, okay, before I move on to the next topic, I want to highlight the importance to follow the study plan. Okay, so our DSE program is a TED program. You are strongly advised to follow closely of the study plan in order to graduate on time. So let's say if you have to modify the study plan for a certain semester because of either the semester-long internship or the NOC or student exchange program, do plan much in advance and plan carefully. So for example, one course to be alert is our core course, the DSE 3101. This course is compulsory for you to read before you can graduate. And this course is only offered in every second semester, not offered in the first semester. Okay, which means for every one academic year, you have only one chance to take it in your semester 2. Okay, and this course is a prerequisite for DSE 4101. So which means if you want to graduate in 4 years, you have to take this DSE 3101 by your year 3 SEM 2. Okay. But if you have some other plan in this semester and cannot take the DSE 3101 in this particular semester, you may need to consider taking this one early in your year 2 SEM 2. But if you consider doing so, you should be very careful that before you take this course, you already fulfill all of these prerequisites. Okay, for this specific course, I list all of the prerequisites here. Okay, so this is just one example telling you that once you want to modify the study plan, so it could be quite troublesome for you. Okay, therefore do plan in advance. I think later Dennis will also highlight about this point, how important our study plan is. Okay, so for me, okay, now I want to give you some highlight. So since DSE 3101 is one example that is only offered for a particular semester every year. So besides it, we also have some other courses that will only be offered for a single semester for academic year also. I list them here. For all courses only offered in semester 1, I summarize it in the first column of the table. For the courses only offered in semester 2 every academic year, I summarize them in the second column. Okay, so I believe after the talk, you should have my slides. Okay, then you can figure out what this course title, the course code are about. Okay, and for the next, okay, so here I give you some useful link to let you explore all of the possible core courses you can choose offered by the 3 departments, as well as under CHS Common Curriculum. Besides the link, okay, here, I also give you the directory. For example, okay, let's say, if you want to search for the CHS Common Curriculum, you can follow my directory. Then what do I mean by this directory? Then simply, you can go to the NUS homepage, then you search for College of Humanities and Sciences, or CHS for abbreviation, from the main page. Then Google will show you the search result. Then from there, you can click on the homepage of CHS. Okay, and from the homepage, you go to the education tablet, and then you choose the common curriculum, and then you can see all of the CHS common curriculum. Also, you can use my link here. You just direct yourself from the link to go to the common curriculum. So the same thing applies for the courses offered by Math Department, Stats Department, and Econ Department. All right. Okay. So next, let me move on to show you a demo. So hopefully after the demo, you can understand how you should plan your timetable. Okay, so let me go to the NUS mode from here. So I think let me stop sharing first, and I will switch a screen from this moment. Okay. Can you see my screen now? So from here, I first go to the NUS homepage, and then I search for NUS malls. Okay, this one is a very good tool for you to plan your timetable. Then from the search result given by Google, we click it. Okay, and then we go to the NUS malls homepage. So on the left column here, you'll see here are the functional buttons. So out of the buttons, I think the timetable and courses are the most useful ones. So under the course button, you'll see here we have the full list of the NUS course entered by all departments within NUS. Okay, you can click in any course and read its information. Okay, and for example, if I type in DSE 1101, then I get my course. If I click it in, so here I can see all of the relevant information I want to know about DSE 1101E. So if you roll all the way down, okay, you see there are also course reviews, which are written by your seniors. So after you can read this if you are interested, and after that, you can know better what you should expect from this course. Okay? So as I said, now my purpose is to show you how to plan the timetable. In your year 1, Sem 1, you have 5 courses. Okay, one is the HSH 1000. I click in and then I add it to semester 1. Okay, so besides this, I also have my HSI 1000. Okay, I click it and then I add it. Next is our CS 1010S. Okay, click and add. Next is my DSE 1101. Okay, again, I add it. Last but not least, my EC 1101E. Okay, again, I add it. So after I add all of the courses I choose to take for the semester, I click my timetable. Now you see all of the courses are shown in this timetable here. Okay, and now I need to do a planning for it. So for this timetable, it is a horizontal view. So every row represents a working day. The first row is my Monday, second row is the Tuesday, and so on and so forth. When you do the course planning, you need to bear at least 2 things in mind. First and most important, you cannot have timetable clash, which means within a single time slot, you cannot have more than one course. Of course, okay, this is easy to understand. Okay, and second is that if you want to plan 2 courses side by side, you need to make sure you reserve enough travel time for you to switch the venue for the 2 courses. Okay, so now let me try to say whether the current timetable, the default one, has any trouble or not. So I look day by day from Monday. You see here for the time slot 10 to 11. The system automatically assigned the CS tutorial and the EC lecture to me. So of course, this is a timetable clash. So I have to correct it. So whenever I want to correct something, okay, I first need to say whether I have alternative slot for the same course. Okay, so if I put my mouse on top, yes? Any question? Okay, then I go on. So if I put my mouse on top of any course, if it becomes a finger like this, it means I have alternative. So, but if I put the mouse into something and the mouse does not change to a finger, it means I do not have alternative for this class. Okay, here, fortunately, I have alternative slot for each of them. So now let me see whether I can move this tutorial to a different time slot. Okay, if I click it, you'll see all of the alternative slots appear. I have a lot of them, so I can feel free to choose another one. For example, I move it to the afternoon slot. Then, okay, the time clash problem has been corrected. So the Monday slot now looks good to me. I go to the Tuesday slot, and for Tuesday, it's good enough. Okay, so far no clash. I can keep it. Next, on Wednesday, so for the morning slot, I have a clash. So I have to correct it. So now I say my mouse doesn't show me an alternative for this CS 1010 lecture, but I have an alternative for this HS. So let me see what alternative I can choose. So for example, I can move this one on Thursday morning. Okay, so say if I put it on Thursday morning, the timetable clash has been corrected. Okay, so you can also do the same thing for all of the other possible clashes. and adjust your timetable to the most favorable way to you. Okay, so after the talk, you can try to organize your timetable by yourself. After you play around with the system for 1 or 2 rounds, then you should get very familiar with it with no problem. Okay, now let me move back to my slides. Okay. Okay, so okay, next. So in your future learning journey, if you ever encounter some problems, either academically or personally, you can always come to our academic advisors for help. And here I gave you the names of the academic advisors for our DSE program. Firstly, from the mathematics department, we have Prof. Victor Tan. He is the current director of the DSE program. So he is the boss. And this is me. So in the future, you may encounter me as in your DSE courses. And under the department of DSDS, we have Dr. David Chu. He is the co-director of the program from stat side. And Dr. Huang Yuting is one of the course instructor you will encounter soon for your DSE 1101. And from economics department, we have Dennis. And so you will know Dennis very soon because he will take over the talk. So and with this comes to the end of my part. And now I hand over the time to Dennis, and he will share with you some very useful advice from your seniors. Okay, so now I stop sharing.
Okay, thank you, Chun. Let me just get my stuff started. All right, so welcome everyone again. So as Chun said, I am the coordinator from the economics side, and I'm also quite active in teaching in the program as well. So feel free to ask me any questions about especially the economics side. So I'm going to be very brief, right? And this is just some food for thought. So there's nothing really special that you have to do right now. But this is just something to set some expectation. Right. So one thing, the first point I wanted to sort of, elucidate is that you tend to hear, oh, CHS is very flexible. CHS is all about choice, right? But don't forget, in your cases, some choices already have been made, right? In particular, you are doing a program that's integrating 2 majors, right? So major 1, major 2, plus the integrated component. So some of these choices already have been made, right? So you should expect a bit less flexibility than perhaps somebody that you know who is doing a single major, right? The second thing is, don't forget that this program has a domain of expertise, right? Which is economics. And the one sort of thing I tend to see in the current batch of students, right, the first cohort, is that sometimes they are, they get very excited and they say, oh, I want to do a second major or a minor. And sometimes it's something really, sort of like a minor in a language or something like that, right? So I think it would be a better use of unrestricted electives, at least part of them, right? To, make yourself a better economist, right? Because after you do the core courses, it opens up, very nice electives of the 4,000 level, such as, for example, economics of digital platforms or search theory and applications, right? Which correlate very well with the data science training, right? In general, right, you want to be an economist who's quantitatively strong, not a kind of, programmer who knows a little bit about economics, right? It's going to be harder for you to market yourself in that way. Second, just to echo the point that Chun made about the study plan, right? We say it's a sample study plan, but at least for the first 3 years, it's kind of the study plan, right? And the reason is because you have to clear a lot of prerequisites for the 2 majors, right? So all those courses, they are core courses, right? They are the basics, the foundational skills for what comes in year 4. And some courses, like, for example, DAC 3101, that is only offered once a year, right? If you don't satisfy the prerequisite for that course, then you're kind of in trouble, right? If you cannot take it in semester 2, year 3, then basically, it's very hard to graduate on time in 4 years, right? So my advice, just judging from the experience of the first cohort, right, is to avoid any unrestricted electives in years 2 and 3, right? One reason is because unrestricted electives you take in year 2 is not that fun. Like, it's very introductory, right? So why would you spend your precious unrestricted elective credits on that? And secondly, it modifies your study plan, and it becomes harder to satisfy some requirements later, right? One thing that's down the line you can think about is we have specializations in economics, right? Some of which requirements DSE students fulfill while doing their graduation requirements. So if you go to the website, for example, this is the website that lists the specializations. The most doable one is this quantitative economics one, right? But also maybe applied and policy economics is feasible. This is no big deal, right? You don't need to stress about it. But if you want a line on your transcript that says you achieved this specialization in economics, maybe for better signaling, then that is an option. Okay, and finally, NUS provides a lot of opportunities to go on exchange, right, via the student exchange program and the NUS Overseas College, right? And as Chun said, right, because exchange usually involves deviations from the study plan, you need to plan carefully for it, and you need to plan early. And I guess the main takeaway from my experience with the students going in exchange is that you can map courses on exchange, right? But remember that pretty much none of the economics courses are mappable, right? So if you're going on exchange, you want to take economics courses at NUS, and you want to map math and stats courses like MA 2000, ST 2000 courses on exchange as much as possible. I think CS 2040 is possible to map as well. And for those of you going on a year-long NUS Overseas College programs, right, which are quite competitive, and if you do succeed in getting them, then we have made some special arrangements, right, for example, for taking an alternative to DSE 3101, or an alternative for the final project if you go in year 4. Okay, so that's okay. Internship, that's the last one. So my advice is avoid taking a credit-bearing internship very early, like for example in year 2, right? Because it modifies your study plan, and because you're very early in your studies, right, you also don't learn much from the internship. So if you want to go for UPIP, it's better to time it maybe year 3 or 4, right? So that you actually can benefit from your skills. Okay, and that's it from me. And I'm happy to take any questions. And in general, just feel free to reach out to me on any of the economics matters. So I guess now is we maybe have a couple of minutes for Q&A, or?
Hey, Dennis, I think a question is for you from the chat box.
There is. Let me see. I don't see any chat. Oh, Q&A. I don't see anything here either. Okay, now I see. Okay. If the math component is heavy for this major, the math component is pretty basic for this major, right? So you can see from the study plan, you basically learn some linear algebra and calculus. You would be basically, you would be doing that in economics under guise of another course anyway, so it's not that heavy. If you're admitted to CHS quantitative finance, can you transfer to DSE? DSE is a direct admissions major, so I think for a transfer it would need to be because they would need to check, right? Because the admission requirements are different. So I think you may want to follow up like with admin staff, maybe Lei Cheng, to actually see what are the steps necessary to do that. Okay, what's the reason that most economic courses are not mappable? They're not mappable because the quality of teaching economics in a lot of overseas schools is actually pretty low. So if you map them on exchange, you come back, you get murdered in, for example, third-year classes, right? And vice versa. If you're trying to map third-year courses, you get a very kind of poor quality course, right? That then you cannot cope with the electives. What does it mean to map a course? It means that if you go on exchange, and you take courses on exchange, for some of them, you can make them count as a particular course code in NUS, right? So for example, if you go to, Seoul National University on exchange and you take a linear algebra course there, right? You can sort of claim it as the MA linear algebra course at NUS, and that fulfills your requirement, right? However, however, if the NUS side does not agree to map, right, even if you read the course in the partner university, it would not be credited, and you would still have to take the course at NUS. If you can understand the language in a partner school, do you have to learn the course in English? I'm not certain, but my guess would be yes. Right? I mean, if you learn economics in Japanese, it would be pretty strange. Okay, CS11X through I blocks. This I will need to refer you to the admin staff. I'm not an expert in this kind of, yeah.
So I think one question is for me. So one student is interested in mathematics and economics. So will QF be a better fit or DSE be a better fit? So what is the major difference between both? So let me put it in this way. So QF is quantitative finance. DSE is data science in economics. First of all, so QF comparatively with DSE highlights more on the theory side. DSE highlights more on the data analytics side. Okay, and for the domain knowledge, QF is about finance. Okay, DSE is more about economics. So finance and economics, they are very, very different. Okay, so finance is basically about the financial industry. So frankly speaking, how to invest, how to hedge the risk, how to make money. While economics is much wider. Okay, so it's generally ask the questions how to effectively allocate resource, either in the macro level or the macro level. Okay, so it's very different. First of all, depending on whether you are really interested in economics or finance, then you twist your directions in different majors. So, but if you are more interested to learn the theory side rather than the data analytics side, maybe a different possible way for you to think about is to combine the major of mathematics and economics instead. Okay, so hopefully I gave you some idea.
Okay, there's a question about the capstone project. Yeah, capstone project is basically like final year. You can think of it as a final year project. Can you substitute with internship? That depends on the internship, right? So there's two pathways. One pathway is if you go for this like NUS overseas college, right? Then there is a course associated with that, which is called, I believe, ETP 3202. It's an 8-unit course. And then that can be counted towards final year project for 101 and for 201. So that's an 8-unit component. Okay, if you are doing internship domestically, for example, UPIP, right? There's no like direct substitution, right? But you can propose a research topic from your internship, right? And use the data and use some maybe work from your internship to complete the report for the capstone project. Is the DS component of DSE is comparable to that of DSA? It's essentially the same, right? But fewer courses, only the core component.
And one more.
Yeah, then you can tweak, maybe take 1 or 2 courses from the electives, right? To lean more heavily to a particular side that you like.
Okay, so I think there's one more question asking for the transfer from econ to DSE. So the students, I think the student already finished the first year. Oh, I'm in year 1, sem 1, and have been admitted to econ. Can I apply for transferring to DSE without starting the MA, and CS course? So I think maybe we need to direct you to our admin people. Okay, so for this, Lai Jing, can you help to follow up with this question? Thank you.
Okay, so maybe for those questions, those admins question, right? Which we couldn't get back to you, maybe you could just email to me. Right?
Okay, so meanwhile, overseas projects, great. Just you know, you would have to be very careful with your courses, right? You know, be strategic. Map what is mappable. Again, there is another thing, like econ course is not mappable. Okay, in general, you should just think of them as not mappable. There are some rare cases when there is a coordinator in econ who advises on mappability, but you know, you want to start that conversation very early, right? And kind of try to gauge or even ask me. Some courses like econometrics course 304 is very difficult to map, right? I receive a lot of requests to map it because I teach it in one semester, and I always reject them because none of the courses that I've seen cover, you know, what we cover, right? So yeah, econ courses are the hardest to map, right? MA, ST courses, CS are the easiest to map, right? In some sense, because linear algebra is linear algebra everywhere, right? That there is not that many ways you can teach it differently.
So
okay.
I checked. So for the DSE course, I don't think they can map it either, right?
A DSE course is definitely non-mappable.
No way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that goes without question because you know, good luck finding an integrated program anywhere else. Okay, something about okay. So yeah, econs mapping I answered. So if you embark on a year-long NOC and US Overseas College in year 3, only for these students, we will give an option to take DSA 3101 in semester 1 of year 4, right? Only for the students who are in the NOC year-long program for year 3, right? They will be given an option to sit DSA 3101. That's like a, you know, counterpart, the closest counterpart to that course on the DSA program. It's not exactly the same, right? But that's the kind of the compromise that we have developed, right? Okay, so that's the question about NOC. Do you learn more math than people taking business finance, or do you learn less? Or you learn way more math than people taking business, right? People taking business, I don't know, they learn not that much math. Finance depends. Quantitative finance, I don't know, but finance in the business school, definitely more.
So for quantitative finance, is much more math.
Is it okay to enroll in LPP program? Since what is LPP? IPP? Do you mean the UAP, Andrea Tan? So what is this program? I just don't know which program you're talking about. So language preparation program. I don't know, but I would say do not waste your units on language, right? You can learn the language on YouTube. I mean, you're paying good money for these courses, so why would you want to learn a language? No. So back to Prashant. So only for NOC, right? SCP, there is no compromise. SCP, you are responsible. If you do SCP, right, that's just a usual exchange. Typically for DSC students, right, it happens in semester 1 of year 3, right? It's very difficult to go at any other time. So usually all the DSC students so far do it in semester 1 of year 3. If you somehow, you know, cannot map enough courses to take DSC 3101, then, then you have to basically wait, right? NOC is a special consideration, right? Because NOC is a kind of a very competitive program, right? It's actually, not everybody can go on NOC. There is a selection process. SCP, pretty much anyone who applies can go. So yeah, this consideration is only for the year-long NOC.
Okay, so for Si's question to me, so compare the quantitative finance versus DSE. So quantitative finance is a major completely under mathematics department. So this one is of much more mathematics than DSE or DSA.
Okay, now there's a question whether I think DSE provides a competitive pathway to a career in high finance. Well, first of all, what is high finance? I guess investment banking. Maybe, right? But you would need to structure your course choices, quite carefully, right? So you probably need to take some courses related to, macroeconomics and finance. High finance, I think investment banking, like the kind of the standard type, you would be maybe better poised from some kind of business degree, right? Because it's a lot about talking and winning clients. If you want to be a quant, like a quantitative analyst, then maybe DSC is not a bad choice, right? Because it combines the actual empirical skills, right? The programming skills, the empirical analysis skills, and the theoretical skills relevant to the area, right? But you would have to tailor some of the course choices, to reflect your leaning towards finance.
So for those who are interested to be a quantitative analyst in the in financial industry, I think quantitative finance is the most suitable major to choose.
Okay, so now I'm afraid of the difficulty about the math component, but I'm interested in applying economic theories on real data. Should I still take DSC? I think you can. Depends on, how much are you afraid of? I mean, even if you take econ major, right, there's quite a bit of math. So there's just no running away from that. It's true that DSC math component is a bit more intense, right, than the econ math component, but at the same time, you are much more prepared, right? So that's the good thing. So it's easier for you to understand some things when you start doing quantitative courses like econometrics and machine learning and all this kind of stuff. So if you already made the cut for DSC, then I think you should be fine, right? Because the criteria is very selective. It means you can take as much math as our typical econ majors do, and you should be fine. Yeah. DSC emphasizes a lot on the kind of application, practical implementation of stuff, right? So the difference between econ and DSC, right, is that econ major you can structure so that you do very little stuff with computers, right? It's possible to do it. So if you're more on the theoretical side, right, that's the difference between econ major and DSC, right? So DSC, you necessarily have to learn this data science component. How intensive is the computer science coding part of the course? I'd say by CS standards is not that intensive, right? It's basically just using standard open source languages to perform analysis. And this skill is becoming kind of ubiquitous, right? So it's pretty standard, I would say, for the times. How much econ background should we have? 0. Whatever you have in JC is invalid anyway, because you're going to learn a whole new way of thinking about the economy by using abstract modeling rather than writing essays. So don't worry about background. Don't worry about background in anything except maybe a little bit math, but that's already been checked by the admissions criteria.
So I think I take the following question. Other than DSE, will QF together with econ be a good option? I think yes, but this really depends on how much effort you plan to put in your academic life. So QF is a quite intensive major, I would say. So because I'm also teaching for some courses in QF, so if you are really determined to work very hard, then you can really try QF and econ. This should be a good combination for you to be a very competitive job candidate after you graduate.
Okay, what are the career prospects for DSE? Nobody's graduated yet, right? The program just finished its third year, so I cannot say. But what I can say is people who graduate from econ and they get all these like jobs like data scientists, basically they had to learn the DS component by themselves after graduating, right? So, and they get those jobs. But basically DSE, you can transition to those kind of jobs straight away. How will exams be like? The exams will be no essays, only answer questions using kind of, derivation or logic, write short answer questions, emphasizing the use of concepts and recognizing how to use concepts in different situations from what you see in lecture. Maybe a little bit of programming. Some courses would not have exams, but have projects. For example, DSE 3101, culminates in a big project, group project. So yeah, no essays unless maybe in some very philosophical economics classes. Can DSE students do actuarial science as a career? I'm a little bit biased. Anybody can do actuarial science as a career once you learn how to discount. Yes, you can. You probably need to pass some professional exam, which should be a piece of cake after you graduate from the program. I say because we had a program with ANU, Actuarial Science and Economics, and the students there, they're not doing anything like really that special. I think for actuarial, you just need to pass some professional exam, which is not that hard. How do DSE modules differ from DSA? Well, depends on the module, right? Some of them are the same. If they're DSA coded, the DSE coded courses, they are basically aimed at explaining how economic data is analyzed, right? Because the nature of economic data is different from many other data sets. Yeah, JC Econ is mostly about essays. Like, yeah, JC Econ is not a good reference for what Uni Econ is like, right? Uni Econ is very different. Modeling, abstract modeling, right? Put some assumptions on the economy, look what happens, right? Mathematical, sort of logical